stage.
Hey people, it's Sunday, October the 11th, 2:07 in the afternoon. And I just got off the train at Finch Station. And I'll be walking down Yonge Street through North York Center, which is also known as the neighborhood of Willowdale. So here I am walking south on Yonge Street, just approaching Finch Avenue. The last time I did a walk through this stretch of Yonge Street in North York was quite a while ago, back when I was still using my phone as my camera. So I thought it was time I did a new video. Now this stretch of Yonge Street in North York is a good at least a dozen kilometers north of downtown Toronto, maybe upwards of 15 up at this northern end. And it basically acts as the downtown area for the borough of North York, or what was the borough of North York, which is now part of the city of Toronto. And this is by far probably the biggest high-density stretch of development outside of downtown Toronto. The Yonge Street strip along here runs for several kilometers, lined with high-rise condos and office buildings, and lots of street-fronting retail. This was originally known as the community of Willowdale, and it still identifies as Willowdale to lots of the residents, and also Canada Post will still deliver your mail if you address it to Willowdale. Up ahead there's a interesting park that I'll be checking out that is named after two famous residents of the neighborhood. Or at least former residents who grew up here. Who went on to found a very well-known rock band that every Canadian knows, and at least probably most of the English-speaking world knows. Maybe you figured it out. Once I get a little closer, I'll drop some more hints and tell you who I'm talking about. It's a little on the cool side today. It's about 12 degrees Celsius. But the sun is out, so it doesn't feel so bad. As you can see, this part of Yonge Street in North York kind of functions as a secondary Koreatown outside of the main Koreatown on Bloor Street West. And it's also known for its concentration of Iranian residents and businesses. Oh, that's quite the big lineup to get into this place up ahead. Let's see what they're all waiting for. Okay, well, there must be some pretty good pastry. Thing is with North York, most of North York was developed after World War II and has a very obvious post-war suburban style of development. But this stretch of Yonge Street through what was old Willowdale did have a slightly more traditional urban character in a small town way with street fronting retail shops. So it made sense to develop the new downtown North York along this area, also Yonge Street being Toronto's main street as well. So, and it does look pretty impressive and urban along Yonge Street itself, but you don't have to go very far. Maybe just a block or two or three on either side of Yonge Street before it quickly reverts back to its residential, suburban, post-war style of development. As you can see, the street here is pretty wide. It's like 3 lanes on each side. That being said, the sidewalks are still pretty wide as well, and there's a fair amount of pedestrian traffic. I've heard stories about American tourists driving into Toronto along the 401 who come across the skyline here of North York, which is visible from the 401, and mistaking it for downtown Toronto, and then coming up through here confused, not sure where they are, looking for the CN Tower. See why some might make that mistake. There aren't too many cities in North America with a huge cluster of dense high-rise development this far from downtown that extends for this far along the street. North York Center also has its own civic plaza and square called Mel Lastman Square, named after a former mayor of Toronto who, before he was mayor of Toronto, was mayor of North York, when North York was trying to market itself as a city. Which is why they tried to build up this downtown area so much. really is everything you need though along here. Has a mixture of independent businesses and chains. Has grocery stores, a big movie theater complex, 2 subway lines, one running north-south along Yonge Street and another one running east-west along Sheppard Avenue. The theater complex, which is of course closed down now for the next 4 weeks. There you can see Mel Lastman Square across the street. And what was the City Hall building of North York.
You never see having.
We're going to take a little detour off Yonge Street. To show you that park I was talking about. It's dedicated to the two famous former residents who grew up in this neighborhood. Well, you're going to know who they are anyway because I'm going to put it in the title, so I'll just tell you. It's Geddy Lee and Alice Lifeson, who are the two founding members of Rush. Now, Rush is one of my all-time favorite bands. They're definitely my top 5. You see, I was talking about how quickly things revert to a quiet suburban atmosphere once you get off Yonge Street. See quite a line between little houses on this side and just a giant wall of condo buildings on the other side. I'll try to follow the path. It's cool, we got a little amphitheater here. It's called the Lifeson Art Park. And here's what I was looking for. Knew it was somewhere around here. There you go. Got Alex and you got Geddy. And if you're wondering why Neil isn't on here, it's because Neil did not grow up in this neighborhood. He grew up in St. Catharines, which is on the other side of Lake Ontario from Toronto. And he's not a founding member of Rush. He joined the band a few years later and replaced their original drummer. But Alex and Geddy both went to the same school growing up here. They were basically friends since childhood, and they still are to this day. And that's the first time I've ever been to that park, so I just always wanted to check it out. And now I have. And so have you. Not sure which way this car is trying to go. I'll just wait a second. Okay. And we'll head back to Yonge Street, and I'll continue on my way through the rest of Old Willowdale / North York Center. Well, that's too bad. A strong gust of wind took that down. If you like fancy cars, and this is the neighborhood to come to. You're far more likely to see supercars driving along this stretch of Yonge Street than you are in downtown Toronto. Maybe in Yorkville you might see some, but not so much on the main strip of downtown Yonge Street. But here it's quite common. just walk down the other side of the street for a bit. Looking back up north. And there you have a view south. You can see all the way downtown, like, if you know where to look. Like, I think I can see one blower east popping up way down there. So it's saying that's a good 10-12 kilometers down. And I see First Canadian Place also with its antenna on the roof. Got quite a nice mix of restaurant choices here. Wow, you got a little bit of everything. Hopefully these restaurants will be able to stay in business over the next month, now that indoor dining is restricted again. So I don't see much in the way of outdoor patio space for most of these ones here, across the street anyway. Hopefully they can do a good takeout business. And if I'm not mistaken, these black office buildings were the first high-rise buildings to be built along this part of Yonge Street in Willowdale. It was called the Sheppard Center. And they never used to be black. That's just a recent thing. They were kind of a beige color before, and they just painted them in the last few years. I think these buildings were built in the early 70s. And who would have known that they would have been the first of all this? It's kind of funny that this part of Yonge Street has an outpost or of lots of the popular places on downtown Yonge Street. Got your Five Guys, you got your Blaze Pizza. I really like these condos here just because of their unusual kind of shape, obviously, and even the color is a little different. There we got a very Torontonian little strip of restaurants here. Burrito Boys, my favorite burrito place, or chain burrito place. Guess I can't cross here, so I'm gonna go back and cross here then. I just wanted to cross to get a good look at the downtown skyline, looking down Yonge Street. Seems like all the traffic lights here are timed to favor automobiles over pedestrians. It's a lot different than in the downtown core. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's a straight shot down the downtown area. You can see Yonge and Eglinton, and then further down the core, CN Tower. So I think that's pretty much it for the main stretch of Willowdale / North York Center. So I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this walk down Yonge Street from Finch almost down to the 401. If you did, by all means, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment, share, tell your friends. All of the above and more. I post videos at least every other day lately, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss any. And keep checking back because, as always, I will continue.